Welcome into KSU Nation, the best K-State and Big 12 YouTube channel podcast out there. I'm Stevie B.
And I'm Kenny G.
And in today's episode, we're going to be breaking down Big 12 basketball, the crossover. It's here. Basketball's happening, football's happening, and all of that. Before we do that, though, Kenny, there's something going on with our subscribe button still.
Yeah, the subscribe button is still not working for everyone, but if it is working for you, go ahead and click it. And if you are already subscribed, thank you very much for doing so. We are really, really close to hitting our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and we would really greatly appreciate if you would help us in reaching our goal any way you can by sharing, liking, subscribing, of course. Yeah, man, I'm really excited about this show. This is we're actually going to take this basketball season seriously with all the debacle that happened last season and just the crazy schedules that you and I had both. Made the podcast really difficult to do during the basketball season, but we're going to do our best to cover this season's basketball year, and it's looking like it's going to be pretty exciting across the Big 12. I mean, not just KSU. So
yeah, for real. And like you said, we're going to do our best for basketball, not just from the K-State standpoint, but from the Big 12 standpoint as well. This conference is insane. Let's be honest. This conference is insane when it comes to basketball. 5 top 10 teams, 6 in the top 25. This conference is insane. It went from already the best conference to now the super best conference, adding in all these new teams. So we're going to give our take really quickly on Kansas State, their game tomorrow against New Orleans, and then we're going to get into the rest of the Big 12. So a year ago, Jerome Tang's team, they finished 19-15, 8-10 in the Big 12. They did not make the NCAA tournament. They went to the NIT and lost in the first round, and honestly kind of looked like a team that just didn't really want to be there, and I totally get that. But you bring in a let's see here, a top 40 transfer recruiting class, top 75 high school class. We'll get into these numbers here in a little bit, but Jerome Tang still got another extension and a pay raise, despite the fact that he did not make the NCAA tournament last year. So this year, this is the rebound year. This is the year to get back into the tournament, try to make some noise. What's that?
See what you did there, Steve.
Yeah, I was, I said it. I was
year.
Like, oh man, do I say pun intended or not? No pun intended. But yeah, I mean, this is the year for Jerome Tang to show why he's making the amount of money he is, and really show off, because it feels like K-State's really got a nice roster. They didn't look very good in the exhibition. But for me, I mean, if I'm looking at our expectations for the year, I mean, they won 19 games a year ago. I mean, my expectations would be to win 23 or more games this next season. Definitely make the NCAA tournament, preferably as a top 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. So, Kenny, what are your expectations for K-State basketball for 2024-25 as the season is already here?
Well, when you're going into this season, you have to sort of try to forget about what happened last season. I mean, that was such a crazy way to start the season with all the drama, and really just broke the morale of like the whole season. It felt like there was just a shadow casted over the whole entire season because of what happened in the early part of that year, or early part of that season. We don't want to get into it, but yeah, I think obviously we are inside of the most difficult and dominant conference in basketball across the country. And so just getting to the NCAA tournament is probably where my goal would be for K-State. Historically, K-State hasn't been the greatest basketball program, but Jerome Tang is really here to turn that narrative around. He did an amazing job his first year. Of course, we had really good players that year, and they just seemed to really gel perfectly. And that's kind of what you need in any basketball program, apparently. Like, it's gonna the amount of change that happens year over year in basketball is just, it's hard to keep up with. You know, there's not a lot of returning players very often. And so you have to have a coaching staff that's willing and able to handle that sort of thing. I think Jerome Tang does an amazing job with that.
You know, I would say and argue against one of the things you said is K-State would probably be the best college basketball program without a national championship. They've been in the Final Four times. I mean, I don't know how many Elite Eights they've lost in a row, but it's I think it's four. No, it's what is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight times K-State has lost in the Elite Eight with a chance to go to the Final Four. So K-State's they're a good program. They just have to figure out a way to get over the hump, finally end this Final Four drought, get back there and try to win a national championship. I'm not sure if it's going to happen this year or not. K-State's got some nice pieces for sure, of, you know, headlined by Coleman Hawkins, of course. But, you know, I think Jerome Tang is definitely the right coach for K-State at the right time. And you and I talked about this. K-State, as we talk about a little bit about football really quickly, K-State has beaten KU every year, 16 straight times, starting in 2009 at current. Over that time, KU has not beaten K-State in football, but K-State has been to the Elite Eight 3 times with 3 different head coaches. So this is a pretty good program.
Yeah.
In a nice spot, looking for a rebound year here. Again, no pun intended here. I think K-State really has a nice roster to do so. And, you know, especially they talked to Coach Jerome Tang today. He said everyone is available tomorrow for their opening game of the season against New Orleans. K-State's favored by 28.5 points. I like this team. I think K-State can win 20 or more and hopefully get to 23 plus wins this season.
Yeah. What I mean by like they're not like a dominant team, I mean they're at least in the top half of the conference. I wouldn't say that they're amongst, you know, top 2, top 3, or maybe even top 4 consistently, but they do have some years where they, like, again, I would say the 2022 or 2023 season, 2022 season, they did have that really nice run to get to the Elite Eight with Noel and I can't remember the other guy's name, but
Keontae Johnson.
That's right, Keontae Johnson. So with those two, I mean, it was just a really cool mix and pairing that they had that year. And this year, it's looking like Jerome went for more of the bigs this time. I mean, he really K-State really invested in some big dudes, and I think that's kind of indicative of what was last year, because last year was like we were lacking in that area, and so this year we've got a lot more guys that are like almost 7 feet tall, which is kind of exciting. And I just, again, all that really boils down to how well they gel together and synergize and play well together as a team. And again, I love Coach Tang. I think he is arguably one of my favorite coaches in terms of like his approach in how to build up players. He's almost like, and this might come out a little wrong maybe, but he's almost kind of like a Coach Carter, you know, like he has that like vibe about him where he's not like, it's not like the focus is always about making his players great on and off the court. And he emphasizes more, it seems like, off the court. He wants to have like dudes that are going to turn into great young men, which is amazing to hear. But also you want a guy that can win basketball games. I mean, we want to win. I mean, that's why we hired you. So, but he showed he did a great job this first year. Second year, who knows what could have happened if we didn't have that issue to start off the season. But this is a season, like you said, to quote rebound from the previous season and start off with a slam dunk in the first game.
Love it. And I really hope that Jerome Tang continues being undefeated in overtime games. He went 7-0 last year to, I don't know how many in a row it is. It's got to be like 12 or 13.
It's incredible. One of those games was a KU game, right?
It was. In fact, K-State lost 7 of 8 games in the middle of the season. their only win in overtime against KU. So gotta love it. Gotta love it. So
Yes.
let's go ahead and pick tomorrow's game. K-State versus New Orleans. Let me look at the time for it. K-State's favored by 28.5 points tomorrow, 7 o'clock at Bramlage Coliseum. I'll go first here. I'm going to pick K-State to win 79-50, just covering the spread by a half a point. I think K-State is going to know their defense looks so much better than it did a year ago. The offense is really getting there. I think that honestly, Fort Hays State is a pretty darn good Division II team. They're ranked 16th in a D2 poll. So I like K-State to win 79-50 to open the season 1-0. Kenny, what's your prediction for K-State New Orleans Tuesday, 7 o'clock at Bramlage?
I'll go a little lower. So I'm going to say that they're not going to cover. I'll say New Orleans probably gets about 55 and K-State will get about 72. So, yep.
17 points. Okay. I dig it. Okay. Let's get into the rest of the Big 12 here. I made up a whole little slideshow here as it relates to the Big 12 for basketball. So let's take a look here. So the preseason poll, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. I'm doing my best here. KU was picked first in the conference, followed by Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, and Arizona rounding out the top 5. K-State was preseason picked 8th. And then the last place team was Utah, which I don't know what Utah is bringing to the Big 12 right now. It's definitely not football and definitely not basketball. Utah, pick it up, bro. Pick it up. The preseason player of the year was KU's Hunter Dickinson. Coleman Hawkins from K-State and Jeremy Roach from Baylor are the preseason co-newcomers of the year. And the preseason freshman of the year is VJ Edgecombe from Baylor. And they have Coleman Hawkins as a preseason second team all Big 12 selection. When looking at K-State, a year ago, like we said, K-State went 19-15, 8-10 in the conference. They went to the NT. This year, they are preseason picked 8th in the Big 12. Their impact player / recruit was a transfer from Illinois, Coleman Hawkins. He averaged 12.1 points per game a year ago. K-State has a 34th ranked transfer class and 66th high school recruiting class. Kenny, you got anything you want to say on K-State here before we moved on? I know we talked about him ad nauseum here just a minute ago, but anything you want to talk about for K-State before we move on to the next team?
Nothing in particular, but if you want to zoom in just a little bit or just take us off the screen so you can see it a little bit better, that I think it would be a little bit better for the viewers. Maybe zoom in. Just, I don't know if you can zoom in potentially, but I will say, oh, that's perfect. That right there is amazing. Just you hope when you see something like this, you hope that Coleman Hawkins is isn't a bust. I hope he really shows up and plays well. I mean, from what I saw just in the little exhibition game, I thought to myself, wow, he's definitely got the moves, he's got the skill. It looks like he's got the effort and the will to win. So I'm excited to see how he grows with this team. And it's exciting as far as the the recruiting. It is what it is, but I always believe in K-State being able to do better than the sum of their parts, and that's due to the coaching. Well, you're still muted there, Stevie. My bad. Did not.
There we go. Sorry.
There.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and I think K-State's got some nice pieces coming in. CJ Jones, Max Jones, David Castillo from the high school ranks. He's a 4-star player. He played for Team USA this past summer. They got some really nice pieces. Ugana Onyenso, transfer from Kentucky. Big dude that looked great in the exhibition, blocking a bunch of shots, getting rebounds. You got David Kassan coming back. Caleb Rich looked amazing. I thought the best he's ever looked during the exhibition. So big things are definitely to come for K-State this season. Even if they finish 8th, which is where they're picked, that's still good enough to get into the NCAA tournament. I feel like there's going to be 10 teams from the Big 12 to make the big dance. So, I mean, this conference is tough. It really is, but K-State's got some nice pieces for sure. So,
Yep.
moving on. Okay, we're going to go through every single team here in the Big 12. We'll try to talk about them pretty quickly here. KU was 23-11 last year. They were a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. They are preseason picked first in this conference, and their impact player is Hunter Dickinson. Averaged basically 18 points per game last year. They had the second-ranked transfer class, 9th high school class. I mean, KU's always good. I mean, they're a blue blood for a reason. Great program. I hate them to death. I really do. But I also respect them, and I respect Bill Self. Great coach. That, there's a lot of programs that can get top recruits. Bill Self knows how to get top recruits and win with them, and that says a lot about him and what they do. And their home court advantage is second to none. It really is. And KU is pretty darn good, and they're picked first for a reason. I will say I did like seeing that they lost in an exhibition at Arkansas, but it didn't count. So we'll see what happens this year with KU, but they're picked first in the Big 12. Kenny,
I think they're also picked first overall in the entire country, if I'm not mistaken.
They are. I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, but I mean, it is. You got to say it. I mean, the expectations are extremely high for this KU team, and of course, head coach Bill Self, president, king, ruler of the KU world, Bill Self. He gets it done. He's a really good coach, and KU historically in this state is really dominant in this sport. So high expectations, and if they don't get first, if they don't win, then it is a failure.
Yeah, I mean, so their expectations this year, I mean, I feel like is definitely, like you said, national championship or bust. I mean, they're not looking
Big 12 championship or bust.
They don't want just the Big 12 championship. They want a Big 12 championship, conference tournament championship, and a national championship. And that's gonna be hard to do. But if anyone can do it, it's Bill Self for sure. So
yeah, they don't want to just, of course, like the Big 12 conference championship isn't just the only thing they want. They're going to want more than that, of course. Their sights are definitely set on March Madness and winning that whole tournament. But I think you also do want to have a Big 12 championship under your belt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just it's a good thing to just have that secured every year if you're KU, especially if you're coming in as the number 1 team in the country. Yeah, you need to secure that at least for your conference. But like you said, this is a tough conference, so they have to go through the gauntlet.
For sure. And and winning at KU is, extremely difficult. I think they'll lose 1 or 0 games per year. I don't know how many home losses Bill Self has. It's not many, that's for sure. It's not many. Moving on. Houston is picked second in the Big 12. A year ago, they went 32-5. They were a 1 seed. Their impact player is LJ Cryer, who is picked as a first team All Big 12 preseason selection, 53rd ranked transfer class, 18th high school class. I mean, they have just as high of expectations as KU. They won a conference championship. They won a national championship. Their home court is nothing like KU's. I mean, I think they have 8,000 fans there. And most of the time they really honestly don't fill it, even though they have a huge city. But their program's insane. Kelvin Sampson is a great recruiter, great coach. They're a great team. And, if not for injuries, maybe they win the whole thing last year. I don't know. But they got a great team. And, I would definitely preseason pick them as a 1 seed for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see these top 2 teams and how they continue with their season. And I hope to see Houston beat KU as much as they can.
Yes, sir.
They're definitely the team, even though we just lost to them in football, they're definitely a team I'd be rooting for to really carry the Big 12. Because as much as the people that make the rankings have faith in KU, you and I hate that, and we'll take any team that's better than KU every time.
Absolutely.
But of course, this is the toughest basketball conference in the nation, and we got some. I mean, we welcome Houston in this conference. I know they started their first year last year, But I think this year is going to be really special for them.
I'm not sure who has a stingier defense, Houston football defense or Houston basketball defense. I mean, both are pretty insane, pretty stellar. Let's be honest. I mean, they were winning home games by 20 plus last year, so their defense is insane. And Kelvin Sampson's a great coach, and it's national championship or bust for them as well.
Yep.
Iowa State, I think, is not in the same realm as KU and Houston in terms of their aspirations. Well, some of their fans might say that they are. I mean, I think that they just first want to get to a Final Four. They're a great team. I mean, I think their aspirations are definitely to get to a Final Four, win the conference as well, or at least win the conference tournament, which they've done so many times. Last year, they were 29-8. They're picked third this year. Tamin Lipsey is the guy shooting the ball there, averaged 12.5 per game last year. 60th ranked transfer class, 38th ranked high school class. Oates is a pretty good coach, and he's got some fire, and he definitely wears tight shirts.
Yeah.
So, Kenny, what do you got to say about here about Iowa State's basketball team?
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know for sure, but wasn't this the team that had like the dude crying in the stands or something like that? Was this like the debacle team, like where Jerome was like they were?
Yes, this the guy that looked like Jim Carrey, and Jerome Tang thought that they had a guy filming their huddles and whatnot. Yeah, that was a whole thing a year ago. But yeah, that's not a good look for K-State at all, for sure.
Yeah, that was interesting. But I agree with everything you said about where Iowa State stacks up against the previous two that we talked about. They definitely, they're at this point, every team after K-State or after KU and Houston, every team is just trying to get to the NCAA tournament and like do as best as they can in that tournament. Because of course, everybody wants to get to the conference championship game, and that's a goal for every team, I'm sure. But at least in the top half, they're like wanting to be contenders. But the goal for them is to get into the NCAA tournament and try to actually like make some noise there. So yeah, good luck to this team, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, they made a second weekend a handful of times, but they just cannot get over the hump. They're a lot like K-State. They can get to the second weekend, but they cannot make it to that third weekend with the Final Four. They just can't get over the hump, and that's their goal this year for sure. So next up is Baylor. Baylor is preseason pick 4th in the conference. They were a 3 seed last year. Their impact player recruit is a transfer from Duke named Jeremy Roach. Averaged 14 points per game last year, 22nd ranked transfer class, 4th ranked high school class. Scott Drew's won a national championship. Jerome Tang was his assistant. For this team, I think it's another, Final Four, national championship, or bust type season as well. Every one of these top 5 to 6 teams definitely want to win a conference and definitely try to want to make the Final Four and win it all. This conference is insane. When you look at where the rankings are, I looked at all 16 teams. All 16 teams had a top 76 recruiting ranking, which is insane. There's no bad teams in this conference at all.
Wow.
And the top 4 or 5 are, extremely good. And like I said, I really feels like Scott Drew is trying to put together another national championship run and build it around Jeremy Roach.
The first thing that pops out to me is the 4th ranked high school class. Man,
they do it every year, man. They're in Texas. They get all the Texas recruits.
Yeah, being right there in the center of, they're in just south of Dallas, right?
They're in Waco.
So they're getting the Austin and Dallas kids potentially. Yeah, man. Baylor, thank you so much for giving us your assistant coach. We appreciate that. And the last time when they came, it's always cool. Now that Jerome Tang is was affiliated with them. Now he's with K-State. Games against them are always a little bit more fun and have a little bit more skin in the game. And when they come to K-State, it's always really fun. And I can't believe we beat them
We've
last
beaten them
year.
a handful of times at this point with Jerome Tang.
Yeah.
Dang, 3 times.
Yep. We're definitely their Achilles heel.
For sure. And you and I were at that game together. That was a great game. Went into overtime. Another overtime win for Jerome Tang.
Of course.
Moving on. Arizona preseason picked 5th in the Big 12. They were a 2 seed last year, coming over from the Pac-12. Caleb Love, it feels like he's been in college forever. I mean, he was formerly at North Carolina. This is his second year at Arizona. 43rd ranked transfer class, 16th high school class. Tommy Lloyd has got a great program going. I'm interested to see how Arizona does with the Big 12 because they really dominated the Pac-12 for years, them and UCLA. But the Big 12 is a different animal, man. It really is. And maybe that's why they're picked 5th instead of, a little bit higher. Arizona's got a good program, but we'll see how they deal with this tough Big 12 competition.
I love how you said he's been in college for 3 years, and that's a long time.
No, I said a long time. I don't know how long he's been in. I think he said it's his 5th year.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the kid. That is a long time, but I just thought it was kind of.
He went to a Final Four of North Carolina. So,
I mean, and what I'll say is, I really hope that Arizona basketball brings something to the Big 12 because their Big 12 football team has not been doing well at all.
not at all.
Not even in their I saw this stat, and I'm sure you did too, Steve, that their effectiveness in home games for or whatever is like less than like Texas State or whatever for football. Like Texas State has a better I don't know, win percentage or something like that. Anyway, yeah, Arizona, I hope you get something done in basketball. I really hope that this isn't another scenario where you're ranked amongst the top teams and you fumble or whatever the pun would be in basketball, you get crossed over, I guess, like in this sport, because yeah, we really need you to step up. I mean, you're a school that is supposed to be dominant and build up the Big 12. And so far, when it comes to football, it hasn't been the case. But let's see if it actually happens for basketball.
I mean, Arizona's a lot like Iowa State, where like they go to the tournament all the time. They do really well. They win a lot of home games. I mean, it feels like it's been forever since Arizona went to a Final Four, man. I mean, they're one of the best, out west basketball teams, and they just cannot get it together to make a huge, deep run in the NCAA tournament. But we'll see what they do this season with Caleb Love and Tommy Lloyd. Cincinnati, I feel like, is picked too high here. 6th in the Big 12. Last year they went to the NIT. Their impact player is Dan Skillings Jr. I mean, they barely beat K-State at the end of the season. 25th ranked transfer class, I get it. 21st ranked high school class, I get it. Wes Miller's a good coach. This feels way too high, man. It really does, and it feels like this could be kind of a letdown season for Cincinnati. I feel like maybe I'm just being crazy. Maybe Cincinnati fans will come at me in the comments. I don't know. But this feels way too high for Cincinnati, and they were preseason picked in the top 25 as well.
Yep, I'm just gonna have to piggyback off of what you said. I did not really pay too much attention to this team last year. I know that they beat K-State, but at that point, K-State was was
pretty much out of it.
Pretty much out of it at that point, and morale was kind of down. I don't even think we played them twice, did we? We only played them one time. Yeah. So I didn't really follow this team very well, but I did not see them making a lot of noise last year. So I'm kind of on the same page with you with where you're coming at with the whole. You think that they're picked a little bit too high because there's no indication for me anyway that they're a top half team. So they might end up being a little overrated this year.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Texas Tech, they were NCAA tournament 6th seed last year, preseason pick 7th. Their impact player is Darian Williams, pictured right there. They have the 7th ranked transfer class, 83rd high school class. I mean, it feels like Texas Tech is a lot like K-State in terms of trying to build your program through the transfer portal. Grant McCasland is a great coach. But again, this is another team that barely beat K-State last year and still somehow was a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament. I mean, I see why they're picked 7th. instead of higher. They're a great team. You got a huge arena. That's not always full. I mean that's basketball in general. But they really did their damage at the 3-point line and on defense last year and rebounding. I don't know. I don't know. For me, I would say their expectation should be to just get back to the tournament, try to maybe improve one seed line to a 5 seed or a 4. I don't know, man. This again feels a little high. I mean, this conference is great, and so maybe these people know more than I do.
Yeah, Texas Tech always seems like that team that just is super dangerous. You know, like
Solid
they're in the middle of the pack, but they're always that team that's able to just take wins off of really good teams that when you least expect it. So they're kind of that team that team should never overlook, in my opinion. And so every time when I've seen Texas Tech, I'm always like, ooh, I mean, hopefully we don't let up here. This seems like a really good team, even though they might be more of like a middle of the road team. I feel like they're usually better than most middle of the road teams.
Absolutely, for sure. Okay, so we talked about it earlier. K-State is picked 8th in the Big 12. They have the 34th ranked transfer class. They went to the NIT last year. Definitely the goal is to get back to the NCAA tournament, try to get to the second weekend. They got, a transfer from Michigan, Doug McDaniel, the Illinois transfer, Coleman Hawkins. They have a couple, mid-major transfers, CJ Jones and Max Jones. I mean, they have the Kentucky transfer, Ugonna Onyenso. They have David Gasson back. This is a pretty good team that I feel like may take a while to really start playing together as a team because there are so many new pieces, and every one of these guys was the go-to guy at their previous school or previous stop. So it's going to really be interesting to see how they play together as a team. Like I said, I feel like K-State's got to really pick to see if they can get to the NCAA tournament. For me, I would like to see them as a 6 seed or better in a tournament and try to make the second weekend. Kenny, anything else on K-State?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on a couple of the players, and one other player I want to touch on is Brendan Hawson from Amarillo, Texas. Previous school was
Villanova transfer.
Villanova transfer. Yeah, I think he's definitely a guy to look at this season. He's kind of a versatile player, but he can kind of shoot everywhere. He's kind of like a really fun player to watch anyway. So
K-State finally has that white guy that just stands behind the 3-point line and shoots. And he took 15 threes in the exhibition. I don't see him doing it every night, but I
wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad you did.
That would be fantastic.
I also like the guys. I also like Archer, or if that's how you say his name.
Achor. Yeah, that's another transfer. Man, I cannot believe I didn't mention him. Achor transfer from Samford. He's going to start every game. I mean, he's from
the land down under, Steve. That's legit.
He's a great player, man. He really is, and he's from
Australia.
He's got some NCAA tournament experience. Good player. A big for K-State. I mean, I bet he's gonna average 10 to 14 points per game and probably 7-8 rebounds. So I forgot to mention him, and I am sorry. BYU has a brand new coach, Kevin Young. Otherwise, I feel like they'd be picked higher than this. Their head coach went to Kentucky, former, I think, player for Kentucky. That's why he went there. Preseason pick 9th here. Last year, they were a 6th seed in the tournament. Their impact player is Traore, average 11 per game last year. I mean, this guy looks like a freaking football player. I remember when K-State played him, this guy was just dominating down low with their other big as well. And they always run a great offense. Like, it feels like when you play BYU, everyone is moving the entire time. Now, of course, that was a previous head coach, but they had the 66th ranked transfer class, 22nd ranked high school class, and they're putting their hats in there for some of the biggest recruits. I think they're trying to get that 5-star guy right now for the next recruiting class. So definitely a good program. I think for them, they like to improve one seed line to a 5 seed or a 4. And see what they can do, try to make it to the second weekend.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting place for BYU. Anytime you get a new head coach, it's kind of like you're not sure how. You always hope for the best, but you never really know until you get the season underway. If it's a good fit or a bad fit. I mean, it's just everything just goes up in the air. Sometimes it could be really great, like it was for Coach Tang in 2022, and then sometimes it could be a bust. So we'll have to just see. I don't know anything about Kevin Young. I don't know where did he coach before this, or was he on the?
No, I think he came over. Let me look really quickly here. But what I will say is BYU has probably the best student section and best fan base in the Big 12. I mean, their fan base is so vast and so robust. I mean, and their fans fill up their stadium for football and basketball every single game. Their mascot is insane, Kenny.
Their mascot is incredible. I mean, props to him. Whoever gets the mascot job for BYU definitely goes on to be like a stunt man for like Hollywood or something. Like like it's the most amazing. Oh, we got a guy here. He was an associate head coach from the Suns.
Yep, he was in the NBA for the last 8 years. So,
oh my God,
he really doesn't have that much college experience, but I feel like maybe being an assistant in the NBA for so long is really going to help them, diversify their offense. But their uniforms are insane too. I mean, BYU is a great program, top to bottom, every sport. Their fan base is insane, and I would probably, ninth might be right, but we'll see how they do with the new head coach.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do. I mean, it's been a blast to see how they were ranked so low in football, and they've basically blown the doors off of every team so far. And so maybe this might repeat itself in basketball. We might see the same sort of thing happen where they're ranked in the bottom half of the Big 12, but they might come out swinging. Who knows?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know their football stadium is the biggest in the Big 12, but I'm pretty sure their basketball arena is the biggest as well. So, like I said, their fan base is insane, and I would definitely not want to play in Provo at nighttime in basketball for sure.
For all those BYU fans, do you guys give ice cream to K-State fans when they go there as well
for basketball?
For basketball, or maybe like
is it just
they hand out free nachos and cheese or something? Because that would be pretty legit.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know. Hand out donuts or what? Let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, TCU. Another one of those teams that really has just been really solid for a long time. They don't have the biggest arena. In fact, I want to say it's bottom 2 or 3 in the Big 12. Jamie Dixon's been around for a long time. They're picked here 10th in the Big 12 last year. They were an 8 seed in the NCAAs. I mean, they pretty much dominated K-State last year. They really did. They brought in a impact transfer from UNC Wilmington. Trezarian White averaged basically 20 points per game. 36th ranked transfer class, 37th high school class. I mean, that's another, Dallas area program that's trying to snatch up all of the Texas talent, Kenny.
The only thing I'll say about this team is that I absolutely hate watching their home games. Their court gives you eye cancer, and they need to change it.
I agree.
The worst basketball court design in the history of basketball, period.
Agreed. Yeah, Jimmy Dixon's a great coach, though, and I hate when we play against him because it's always a tough game. K-State's got their number in the Big 12 tournament, though. They really do. Every time we play them in a tournament, we beat them. So, moving on. Also, sorry, I think for them, they should try to get, up to a 6 seed or a 7 seed in NCAA tournament for them to try to, this might be the last team in the Big 12 that makes the NCAA tournament. Them or UCF, which I feel like was kind of a surprise team last year. I mean, they won at Texas last year. They beat KU at home. They went to the NIT. They have Jalen Sellers there, pictured right there, averaging 16 points per game. Johnny Dawkins as a head coach. They have a top 40 transfer class, 65th ranked high school class. They're in the Orlando hub. Again, not one of the biggest arenas, but this is another one of those pesky programs that you do not want to play late in the season when they are trying to make a run at the NCAA tournament, Kenny.
Yeah, they do kind of come off as that team where you can't sleep on them. You can't sleep on them. They're like the trap game for a lot of teams, especially in the end back half of the season for sure.
Yeah, and I think a good point for them would be to try to just get to the tournament, whether that's a play-in game or a 9 seed or a 6 seed. I think they just want to get to the tournament. We'll see if it happens or not, but I think that's a standard for them. Is they don't want to play an NIT anymore. They're a lot like K-State. They're like NIT. That's not for us. We want the NCAA tournament. So I think they just want to make the dance. Arizona State, I think, is one of those programs that's going to be under the radar this season. I think they actually have a pretty good roster. I would probably pick them, in the 6 to 8 range. They had a 21st ranked transfer class, 7th high school class. They had Adam Miller back, 12 points per game. I know they went 8-12 a year ago in the Pac-12. I don't know, man. I think Bobby Hurley's a good coach. He knows how to recruit. They've been to the tournament a few times before. I mean, I would pick them in the top half, man. I really would. I think for them, they don't just want to make the tournament. They want to make the second weekend, Kenny.
Switch them with Cincinnati is what you're saying?
I would probably switch them with Cincinnati. Yeah, thank you. That's a great reference. I would probably switch them.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money with that. I don't know why they're ranked so low.
That Arizona State game for basketball is going to be insane. It's going to be
fun.
It's going to be a lot more fun than the football game, that's for sure, because Arizona State's football team is going to have some fun with Arizona's defense and offense.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's
going to be not
this could be the year of Arizona State. The Sun Devils are really going to be taking off this year, and I'm happy for them, man. I definitely want them to succeed, and it's better for the Big 12 in the end. So,
yep. Who is an alumni of Arizona State, right?
Who?
Pretty sure it's Harden. James Harden. Yeah.
Oh, James Harden.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he went to Arizona State. So
interesting.
He is right around the same time as Michael Beasley, who went to K-State. So, yeah, great player. Went to Arizona State. So, moving on. West Virginia has got a new coach this year, Darian DeVries, who's bringing his son over, averaged 21.5 points per game. I mean, I see why they're picked so low. I mean, this could be another one of those pesky teams, just like West Virginia. But they have the 3rd ranked transfer class, 87th ranked high school class. I don't know, man. I hate playing in Morgantown, and they got a new coach. I'm really interested to see how they do. I think for them, I think they just want to make the postseason. I mean, of course, if you ask, West Virginia fans, of course, they're going to say they want to make the NCAA tournament. But I feel like, honestly, since they went 9-23 a year ago, they're bringing over a new coach from Drake, and he's bringing his son. I think they just want to make the postseason, whether it's NIT or NCAA. I think they'd be happy either way.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. It is interesting to see that they're so highly ranked in their transfer class, but I mean, it looks like this guy Tucker is going to be doing some damage in the league. So,
we'll see. Yeah. For sure. Moving on. Try to go through these last ones, really quickly here. Steve Lutz, new coach at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's really struggled for a long time. Their best player returning is Bryce Thompson. And it feels like he's been at OSU for like 10 years now. It really does. Their recruiting rankings are not very high. In fact, they're the lowest of the 16 teams. 76th ranked transfer class. Their high school class is not even in the top 182. I would probably pick them last in the Big 12. I really would. Even though it is tough to win in Stillwater, I don't know, man. I would, if it were me picking, I'd pick them last.
Oh, man, what a horrible year for Oklahoma State University. They're struggling in football. They're going to be struggling in basketball
for a long time, honestly.
Their basketball team is not the highlight of their program or their athletic program in their school. So You hate to see a legacy team like Oklahoma State go through this tough year, but hopefully they turn the corner. Hopefully, like we're all this doom and gloom we're talking about Oklahoma State. Maybe they might come out and shock the world, but
I don't see it. It's not happening.
It's not likely. It's not likely. It would be a Christmas miracle for them to be anything more than a 500 team at the most.
Yeah, I mean, I think for them, they just want to have a winning record. I mean, that's what I would hope for if you're a OSU fan.
It's sad to be a Cowboys, Oklahoma State Cowboy, but you've had good years. You've had good years. It's just
they have.
You just this is just going to be a bad year for you guys.
You guys got Doug Gottlieb as an alum, so that's good for you. And those uniforms are pretty sick.
And Tyreek Hill.
Oh, that's true. And Des Bryant as well. Des caught it. Tad Boyle, Colorado, pick 15th. I don't see I see why they're picked 15th. They lost their entire starting five, their top five scorers from last year. They were a 10 seed in the tournament last year. I mean, their best player that's returning only averaged 7.5 points per game. Tad Boyle has been at Colorado for a long time. He's a great coach. I would probably pick them around 12th or so. When you lose that many good players, it's going to be tough to replace them. But like I said, he's a good coach. 72nd ranked transfer class, 40th ranked high school class. He was a thorn in K-State's side for a long time back when they were in the Big 12. Frank Martin really thought that Tad Boyle was going to replace him at some point. Never happened. He stayed at Colorado. He's been there for a long time. Colorado's not the best basketball program, but it feels like he's probably the best coach they've ever had.
Yeah, we talked about K-State being in their rebound year. This is Colorado definitely in their rebuild year.
I agree.
Things can happen good in a rebuild. A lot of people will count you out, but you could always be that team that just comes in and surprises people and maybe that's the best that they could hope for is just be that team that no one suspects will be good and just turn some heads. That's that it's good to be kind of like be counted out and be the underdog. Being the underdog is where you want to be if you're Colorado.
If I were them, I think I'd like to try to get 17 or 18 wins and see if you can make a run at the NCAAs or the NIT. So
yeah.
Utah, 22-15 last year. They went to the NIT. They did beat BYU, so shout out to them for that. They're now in the same conference as BYU. It might be a little tougher this year. BYU is pretty good. Craig Smith is their head coach. He's been there for about 5 years or so. 55th ranked transfer class, 59th high school class. Gabe Madsen averaged 13.5 points per game last year. I think their fans might be kind of starting to get upset with their coach. So I think for them, even though they're picked last in the Big 12, I think for their fans, it's like NCAA tournament or bust for them. They do not want to go to the NIT again. They don't want to be the laughingstock of the Big 12 because they were for football. They don't want it for basketball. So, I think for them, they want the NCAA tournament. I just don't see it happening, Kenny. I really don't.
Yeah, there needs to be a miracle. Teams need to be falling off. Injuries have to occur. Pigs need to start flying for this team to make it to the NCAA. I'm sorry, Utah, but this year you guys are eating the most massive slice of humble pie that I've ever seen.
I love it.
And look, we all have to do it at some point. K-State had to do it last night or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But you guys are ranked the worst team in the Big 12 in the preseason poll. Now we know preseasons can be a little bit off, and we see we're seeing football. Seeing a full display in football right now. So it is up to Utah to prove everyone wrong. But I just don't, like you said, I don't think they have the weapons. Their coach, I don't know if they've got the coach. It's rough.
They're
It's rough.
the second best team in Utah, man. They really are. I mean, they went 9-11 in the Pac-12, and the Big 12 was about twice as good as the Pac-12 in basketball a year ago. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The Big 12 is a gauntlet, and they just joined the Big 12. So, yikes for them. Like I said, I think for them, they just want to make the NCAA tournament or bust, and it's probably not going to happen. So, that's the look around the Big 12 for the preseason basketball, Kenny.
I can't believe we did it.
I cannot believe that took a long time. So I know that not that many people are probably going to watch this because it's still football season. It's a crossover season.
Right.
But I will tell you.
Hey, Steve, there's basketball fans out there. Come on now.
There are, but I will tell you, I spent a lot of time on that slideshow. So if you guys can give us a thumbs up, please subscribe. That would be so great for us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs. I think we're at like 826. We need 174 more to get monetized, and we have all the views, all the watch time. I think we have double the watch time we need.
Yep.
We just need the subscribers, Kenny.
Yep, and for a lot of those teams in football, I mean, they're already looking ahead to the basketball season, so I'm sure we'll get some fans that are going to find that interesting. But like Steve said, if you find any of this stuff entertaining or useful or helpful, please give us a sub or a like and comment down below what you think. If maybe you think these rankings are full of it. Maybe you want to put your rankings down in the comments. We'll see. But I had fun on this episode. I can't wait for basketball season, even though I really want to see football season conclude and cover that as well as we can. But really excited for basketball this year.
Absolutely.
And I'm really excited for this channel to cover the basketball season in the best way we can.
Absolutely. And I just want to end it with picking one more K-State basketball game so we can clip this out later. We have K-State versus Cleveland State on Saturday at Bramlage. This is the second game of the season officially for K-State. Saturday, 3 o'clock at Bramlage Coliseum. A year ago, Cleveland State went 20-14, 11-9 in their conference. Not a bad team. It really isn't. I don't know what the spread is. It's not out yet. I'm going to go ahead and jump the gun here. And I got K-State winning 73-61. Kenny, what do you got?
Oof. Yeah. I was going to maybe go a little bit closer. I'll go like 75-70.
Ooh, you think it's going to be a barn burner. Okay.
Yep.
As long as K-State wins, that's all I care about. So this has been another KSU Nation podcast. Kenny, we're going to be back tomorrow, aren't we? Even though it is an election day, there's a lot to talk about for the Big 12 this week. What are we going to be doing tomorrow on our podcast, Kenny?
Well, we're going to be going over the power rankings of Week 11. There's a lot of movement in the power rankings. And then we're also going to be going over each game coming up for that week. K-State is not going to be playing. We might even touch up on some comments that were posted in these, and then maybe even touch a little bit more about K-State as I believe the coaches' interviews came out. They usually do.
They did not do it this week.
Oh, they didn't do it this week
because it's a bye week.
Of course, they didn't do it this week.
Well, that was lucky on them. That was lucky on their part.
Of course, but yeah. Well, it's obviously a big day tomorrow for the nation. And it is it's going to be a fun day for KSU Nation YouTube channel here as we get into Week 11. Man, this football season has gone by so fast.
Absolutely.
But we appreciate you guys watching, subscribing. We appreciate you commenting and engaging with us on our live shows as well as when the video is posted after. It really has been a fun season covering the Big 12.
Absolutely. There's just one last thing to say, Kenny.
I guess there's one last thing to say, and that is go Big 12 and go Cats.
Go Cats!
Down